But consider this. What if, from the broader perspective, you're not really that worried about it? What if, from the broader perspective, you know the end of the movie turns out good? What if, from broader perspective, you know that you came to explore contrast for the benefit of expansion? And what if you know that the worst case scenario would be that you pinch yourself off from it for a while, maybe your whole physical life, but that when you croak, you come back into alignment with it? What if, from the big perspective, you say it's way, 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 way worth it to explore the contrast for the thrill of offering expansion, and even more for the thrill of getting up to speed with it? Think about people who would never go on an adventure, and those that just love the thrill of an adventure. And you all were seeking the thrill of the adventure. First of all, you know how the whole thing works. And next, you know that you are a creator. And next, you know that you cannot begin to create if you don't have some stuff to create from. So you're willing to jump in and have your own exposure to life, because somebody else can't create through you. You got to create through your own vibration. You've got to create through your own attention to things. You need life in order to create, in order to put things into your escrow. And you were eager to do that, you see. And you didn't see it as bad and good. You saw it as variety from which you would choose, and you knew that you would launch these rockets of desire. And you knew that you had a guidance system that would let you know whether you were in alignment and whether you weren't. First of all, all of these new consciousnesses that are coming forth, we're talking about flora and fauna and the baby humans. All of them that are coming forth are coming from this perspective of all that you've put into the vortex. So they are tuned in, tapped in, turned on, cable ready, ready to rock and roll. In other words, they're coming in and they're knowing. And that's huge. You talk about a generation gap, we call it a vibrational gap. They're coming knowing things that you've put into your vortex that you haven't allowed yourself to know. They're coming in knowing it, you see. And then there are those like you who are deliberately moving yourself into the vortex. Then there are those who have just figured it out that they want to feel good. In other words, everything that every single person does, everything that every single person wants, whether it's a material object or a pile of money or a relationship, everything that everyone wants is because they believe they will feel better in the having of it. And then you have those like us. As you summon us, we come and we explain, and when you're ready, you hear, you see. We don't think that your world is as out of whack as you are seeing it. And we wouldn't make a big deal over a little bit of negative emotion if we were standing in your physical shoes. But we do agree with you. It should feel better to you. Life should be good to you. You should get what you want. You shouldn't have to suffer. Things should unfold. You should feel your power. We want you to know your worthiness. And we think that is the biggest, boldest, most accurate answer to the question that you're posing here. People have lost their sense of worthiness because of the distorted story that has been told to them about who they are. This conversation is not helpful. In other words, you are continuing that story. No matter what the reason is that you're focused upon that, you're not focused upon what's in the vortex as you tell such a story. So you want to get into the vortex so that you can radiate the knowledge that you want others to find. And this is the time of awakening, meaning this is the time when all who are looking will find. We want to find a way of helping you to feel the enthusiasm that we feel when your life causes you to put something into your vortex and then you manage to get in there where it is. That's the thrill of life. And that's the nugget that everyone is looking for. We want to convince you that the perfect world isn't one where everybody knows what you're coming to know and everybody is just this really dynamic, deliberate creator. That's not the perfect world. The perfect world is the world you've got. The perfect world is the world of contrast and balance. The perfect world is the world that stimulates new desire, and some line up with it and some don't. In other words, the perfect world is the world of choice. It's the world of knowledge. And we know that when you find a way to find happiness, that you want to tell everybody about it. But the thing that's tricky about that is somebody who's not in the vicinity of happy can't hear you. And so then you want to say, well, something's screwy with the system. And we say, no, it's not screwy with the system. There might be something screwy with people's ability to understand where they are in relationship to who they are. That's screwy. It's screwy that a mother welcomes a child into the world and then convinces the child that the child should care more what mother thinks than about how the child feels. That's screwy. But don't you notice that as children grow, that they begin reaching for more, and that if they care about knowing that they'll find their way? We cannot assume that people in various religions haven't found something meaningful that is working for them. In other words, we are not for a moment here to suggest that the way that we are explaining all of this is the only way that it can be explained. We understand the laws of the universe, but there are plenty of people who are outside the vortex, who are living, who have put things into their vortex, who find things in religions that you might not find that might help them to close their gap, you see? There's not one right way of living. There are so many right ways of living. Well, here's the thing that's tricky about this, because we can glibly say to you that you're expanding and this is the standard that you want to find harmony with, and you really have to get to a place where you don't give a rip what anybody else thinks, because there's too many moving parts. And if you're trying to stand on your head to please that one or that one or that one or that one or that one, you really can only have one person in your life like that, you know. Because if there are two and they want something slightly different, then you don't know what to do. But all of that is, while it is law-based, it's not the easiest thing in the world for you to make work in your life, because the fact of it is, there are a lot of people in your life, and a lot of people do hold you as their object of attention, and a lot of people do have a response to things you do and things you say and things you think. In other words, you're getting constant feedback. So if you've been trained, like most people do, to try to offer behavior that produces pleasing responses from them, then life's really busy for you. Your parents taught that to you early on. If you please them, they smile. If you don't please them, they punish you in some way. And without meaning to, they were well-meaning in every case, they trained you away from your own guidance system. And the thing that's tricky about that is that as you try to please that one, no matter what it is, there is a strong possibility that you are defying what you have actually put into your own vibrational reality, that your own source energy is calling you towards. So you really have come to a rather strong decision that is of great value when you say, I've decided that it matters most to me how I feel, because it matters most to me that I'm in alignment with Source. But then it turns out that it all kind of fits together nicely, because for you to be in alignment with Source, you must think loving and appreciative thoughts of whoever is your object of attention. And when you're thinking loving and appreciative thoughts of whoever is your object of attention, the law of attraction matches you up with things that feel really good to both of you. In other words, these laws really do not betray you in any way. Here's an interesting way of approaching this. So someone says, I want to be appreciated. So let's say this person who wants to be appreciated looks to a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a mother or someone and wants to be appreciated. But that person, for whatever reason, isn't appreciating them. Now, when we say for whatever reason, what we really mean is you're not evoking it, and so law of attraction is not matching you up with it. But when you're not being appreciated, it feels to you like it's their fault. They should be more appreciating. Because if they were really doing their job, they would appreciate me regardless of the vibe I'm giving off. Which isn't true, but that's the way you feel when you're not in the vortex. So then let's say this person who wants to be appreciated but isn't being appreciated says to their inner being, or to Abraham, that person won't appreciate me, so I would like you to. I want to feel your appreciation. Well, now the interesting thing about reaching to your source for appreciation is that you gotta be in the vicinity of your source in order to feel it. Because your source is offering it all the time. That's the appreciation we want you to be reaching for, not from the peanut gallery. But now, hear how this plays out. So, okay, Abraham, I want to feel your appreciation. So I'm going to tune myself to feeling your appreciation. Guess what happens when you tune yourself to feeling the appreciation of your source? Your lover appreciates you too, because it was you all along. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Oh, now you appreciate me. Now I've tuned myself to source. Oh, now you'll appreciate me. Where were you when I needed you? Well, that's just the way the laws of the universe work, you see. So when you say, I'm not going to give a rip what anyone thinks, we want to modify that by saying, you can't help but care about them because you've put so much of them in your vortex. You have created a version of them in your vibrational reality. And the version of them, oh, this is so good. The version of them that you've put into your vibrational reality is someone who loves and someone who's stable and someone who's sure and someone who knows you and loves you and wants to be with you. That's the version of them that you've put there, you see. And so it's your job to see that version and only that version, no matter how they're behaving. And that's the tricky thing, because some of them are loud. Some of them are just really in your face, not behaving the way you'd like them to behave. But you have to hold to your picture of what you are wanting, or put yourself in a place where at least you're not seeing so much of what you don't want. Don't you think that's a good way of looking at this? That when you reach for the love that Source will always give you, in order to find it, you got to tune yourself to it. And when you tune yourself to it, then only that part of others can show themselves to you. That's why we say, line up with who you are, and then everything else takes care of itself. Law of attraction sees to it.
Okay.
Now we know you understand the theory of that. Want to talk about it in detail? Listen to this. Your vibrational reality, which is manifestation yet to come, but vibration already in place, from our point of view, is present tense. And your reality that you're living right now, boom, there it went again, 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 there it went again. Past tense, past tense, past tense doesn't mean diddly squat. It's already done its work. It put it here, this is where it's at.
I agree.
All that matters is how you feel now. Because now and how you feel is the juncture where you meet you. How you doing? I'm lonely. Then you're not doing well. I'm ornery. Then you're not doing well. I'm hopeful. Better. I'm overwhelmed. Not so good. I'm hopeful. Better. In other words, how you doing? How you doing? As we said to someone earlier, our best work is to soothe your resistance. So we start to soothe your resistance by telling you the unequivocal, undeniable law that never gets squirrely on you. So where do we suggest you get your feedback from? Source. And what do you think Source is saying about that? We really want to jump in here so that you get it. You care what they think.
I agree.
That's like asking someone who doesn't have any money to give you a loan.
Okay.
This is the reason you feel so bad. It hasn't got anything to do with them. It's that you have expectations of yourself that when you give attention to their negative rating takes you apart from who you are. It's not their statistics that are messing you up. It's your own. In other words, this will feel a little off the subject, but it really isn't. It's right on. Someone will say, this rascal, often it's a lover or an employer, this person has made me so frustrated and angry, and in the process I have asked for this and asked for this and asked for this. So that person is responsible for enormous expansion. My vortex is spinning faster and my inner being is standing taller because of that rascally rascal. So that person is the reason that I expanded. And that person is also the reason that I don't take my expansion, because I'm looking and listening to what that person says.
Correct.
So we think you had a good idea in the beginning not to give a rip what that person thinks. But that's not going far enough. You have to thank them and their trouble for the expansion that they affected in you. You see, you're not upset.